Hello, Mr. Vlad Kreimer. Now, you make the Lyra 8, among many other things, and the Soma pipe, Soma Laboratories. I love your work.
Thank you very much. Big pleasure for me.
So, we're here at Super Booth. I wanted to talk to you as part of our Meet the Maker series. How did things begin for you in making, or just in music, electronic music? Where did things start for you?
It starts slowly. So my first passion was not electronic music, but a kind of rock. But step by step, maybe because of I'm an engineer from my 5 years old, I go deeply and deeply to electronic stuff. And maybe important point for me was late 90s when rock music was a kind like goes down, and I got new vibrations from electronic music, and I saw, wow, it's just like old stuff, like this famous festivals from 70s, 60s, 60s. So I got this fresh and cool vibes, and then I started to play electronic music myself. It was late 90s.
So I'm guessing during that time, perhaps it wasn't so easy to get like the standard electronic musical instruments. Were you building your own? Were you building your own synthesizers or modifying? How did you create or get your instruments?
So I'm started from building equipment for my studio. So it was high quality tube preamps, high quality processing for vocal and that stuff. And then there was very important point for me. I meet very interesting guy from Russia. Maybe it's, Papa Srapa, noise musician from Rostov. And he showed me very interesting things. He played very simple stuff. His equipment hand-built and very, very simple, but he creates impossible thing with it. And then I understood that, okay, I don't need to build whole 61 keys keyboard for play excellent music. So it could be absolutely another way. And after that, I created 13 different electronic instruments during 1 year.
Right.
So I start to make a lot of experimentations, and it's involved me much deeper than gear which I can buy from any shop. So I was absolutely wow. So with this kind of synthesizers, absolutely weird, without MIDI, without, I don't know, sequencer, I can create much more interesting stuff for me. And after several years, the whole my live setup was hand-built.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and
I did hear a story that you kind of, in isolation almost, invented a sampler, but without knowing that a sampler existed.
yeah, it was really cool story. I was absolutely in love with Mellotron. I am a big fan of King Crimson, and I know that exists such excellent instrument like Mellotron. And I knew nothing about the sampler, and one day I can create the same stuff using reverberation unit, delay unit from old Soviet Union past. And if I make a loop, and if I start to modulate the frequency by some keyboard, and I created this stuff. It was really huge unit and very old chips, and it works. It was 80-bit one voice sampler.
Wow.
And I even have some recordings with it.
And that's something you developed in. I mean, I think there's something to be said for working in isolation, because you follow your own instinct rather than copy what is there or try and emulate, right?
And I still love to be isolated. So for me, the best way, if I just got some very first look on some idea and don't know how it can work exactly, and then start to work myself, and then I can discover my way much more easy. It's strange, but it's really works if somebody, I think not only me, if somebody have good knowledge on the base of something like base of electronics, so I'm absolutely not new here. And if you start to develop some ideas from scratch, just got very simple clue how it could be.
It's the same in music, though, isn't it? Sometimes, you're influenced as a child or in your younger years by music. You don't know how they make the sound. You think it was a certain way, and so you try this, and it makes something new as a result, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
So you perform as well a lot. I've seen your
Yeah.
performances. They're quite contemporary, shall we say. And you create instruments to allow yourself to perform as well, yes?
Yeah. Yeah, and the first instruments was created especially only for my performances, and I decided to start this mass production only after a lot of people start to ask me, please create for me the same instrument. We would like to have the same synthesizer because it's absent, such synthesizers are absent on market.
And this was what, the Lyra 4? Was that, or was this before this?
Yeah, the first instrument for mass production was Lyra 4. Now it discontinued because Lyra 8 has the same possibilities but twice more power, and people would like to have as much as possible possibilities with this instrument.
What I love about it is it's very unpredictable, but it's also it can be very beautiful, and also it could be many things, but there is no conventional interfacing.
Yeah.
Is that? It seems like that's actually something you consciously do. You want it to be that different, right?
Yeah, and there is a conscious decision why. So for me, interface, it's like your environment on stage. It's very or otherwise support your inner state. For example, for me, the worst interface is computer on the stage, like any kind. And for me, much better if I have several smart knobs which produce some feelings for me, not only functions.
So emotional resonance. Right?
Emotional resonance, definitely. So for me, interface should have emotional resonance. So be honest, we have endlessness possibilities now in electronic music. The most important thing is how deeply we can be involved into this equipment and how easy we can express ourselves with it. That is why I spend a lot of time building interfaces, and with next developments I go more deep in this direction.
That's interesting. I know I've often heard, you make the Stradivarius comparison, and the fact also that there is no pitch referencing. It's like you dial it until it feels right. Is that the way that you like it to work? It doesn't matter if it's concert tune or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Lyra 8 has done great things for you. I mean, you've built, I don't know how many you made, a lot, I think. So, was this a surprise? Has it changed the direction of your life as an artist and as a manufacturer?
Yeah, it changed direction of my life. So for me it was surprise, but it's also a very nice way of self-expression. So I propose to other musicians like a field, like a landscape with some game inside, like Lyra, so you can explore it. And for me, very big pleasure see how other musicians manage it. And I'm still artist, so I'm still feel myself not only like technical guy who can create something that will works, but there is some ideas inside, some philosophy inside. For me, it was absolutely unexpected. I never saw myself like a producer of some gear, never. But why not if it's so much people interested in? So if I feel myself I'm much more useful for this world if I'm not only musician but also like engineer. So it's big pleasure for me. Honestly, I've got so many warm letters from users, from wow, it's the best synthesizer in my studio, how I can resist it? So of course I now spend all my time for these projects. It's very big pleasure for me.
I'm really pleased to hear that, because I mean it's like an affirmation of the reason why you made it as well, to make that kind of emotional connection. And if you're hearing back that people are having the same feelings, then that must be great.
Absolutely.
I mean, the other thing, when I opened the box inside and had a look, I mean, it's beautiful on the inside as well. Is that also an important thing for you, that it has to be beautiful everywhere?
Yeah, so this last day I took part of Japanese tea ceremony several times. And what they do, they just put water from one cup to another many times. What they do? It seems to be like nothing, but it's very important kind of magic. So it's I very strong believe that very important things which you even don't see. It's really have some deep influences on what's going on. So if I make things not only beautiful outside, but beautiful inside. So if someone open it, wow, and even if not open, it also work like hidden magic. I really believe in that.
Oh, that's interesting.
And not only this point, I use only THT technologies, so I don't use SMD components. And it's really makes much better sound. So why this famous gear from 70s sounds so good? Because of quality of single parts and because of a lot of work inside. So maybe you know this a little bit weird history that where in the age when guitar pickups was winded by hand, it sounds better.
Imperfection, I suppose.
Yes, definitely. Music it's not an area of perfection. We need a little healthy amount of chaos inside.
That's interesting. That's interesting. So where? I mean, I guess now you've made all of these things. You must be able to kind of think, oh, I can maybe do some other things that I didn't think. So you have this, you have the pipe. Have you got other instruments planned, or do you work one project at a time?
Yeah, right now I'm working hard on organismic drum machine. So drum machine which will have a similar behavior to Lyra. So it can produce rhythms which can be very hard to create consciously. So you need to make a kind of experimentation, patching. So it will have some new unique approaches. For example, it will be ready for circuit bending. I have put it outside more than 30 points for circuit bending. So it could be like CV control, but not only. So it's not only pure input. It could be like output. It could be like you can apply some capacitor, just single capacitor, and then change its behavior. So let people make experiments with it, and it will be a lot of like open structure. And Lyra has closed structure, so all this organismic behavior you cannot control amount. And this drum machine will have possibilities, goes from pure controllable part, like stable, steady loop, to absolutely crazy behavior.
I have a feeling that will work really well. Are you finding now that you are still able to perform and create music? I mean, it seems like you work very much on the sort of visceral here and now rather than maybe think about traditional structures. So do you perform in the moment, and do you still get time?
I definitely have no time, so I overloaded about 3 times of my normal physical possibilities. But it's so interesting for me, so I still alive and still keep my work hard. And I'm not promote myself like a musician now. So if someone invite me, please perform, in 90% I am agree. So yes, let's do it. And but I see myself more now like this artist who express yourself through engineering. That is why I called my company Romantic Engineering. So I am not only some guy who knows equations very well, but I am in between in poetry and science, you know.
Which is art, isn't it? Isn't that what art is?
Which is art, yes, definitely. And this is beautiful. And for me, I've got so much pleasure meet top-level engineers from here. For example, you definitely know landscape guy with sound field, these circles.
Okay, right.
Sound field, this strange device which produce some cracks, noises with feedbacks.
Yep.
And when I talked with him, I've got so much pleasure, just way of thinking. And this guy told me very clever idea. What actually I am shared to the world. My pleasure when I working on this device. So my users will get the same pleasure as I've got.
As you put in.
Yes. So
right.
This is also very important. So I can share my state even if I don't play on stage through engineering. Great.
That's a really nice, that's a great way of looking at it, and I hope it continues to work out for you as well. Vlad, thank you very much for talking to us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you for these beautiful questions as well.